I had to make a video uh, after reading the comment. like, I think some of the comments are inspired from God for sure. But I was thinking this, God's kind of been walking me down a purpose, but I'm kind of seeing where this purpose is going a little bit. And I think one of you is right. Part of my purpose is to be the opposite of what I've been my whole life, and that's to feel love for and feel and want to be on the planet. Like, you know what I mean? Like love being on the planet, like the opposite of my whole life. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to, and I think I'm supposed to. On top of this, I'm supposed to inspire others that don't want to be on the planet either, that hate it here, to actually flip it around and love it here. You know what I mean? I'm serious. I thought about this. Uh, like everybody that's depressed, wants off the planet, is hurting, to flip it around and somehow love to be on the planet. Anyways, you know what I mean? Love to be here. I think that's part of my purpose is actual love. Love is part of it. Like the opposite of what I felt my whole life. Most of my life I felt hate, you know, and disdain for being on the planet, hate for everything. But I think God wants me to flip it around and feel love. You know what I mean? A total 180. Feel love, you know. I think I'm right about that somehow. Because I think I have been changing, into a more positive person. Believe it or not, I think I have been. So God's flipping me around, into being more positive minded, I think. Maybe. but but anyways, I do think that is part of my purpose is to eventually love it here, you know, love being here and love others, as well. Even my enemies love them as well. Like total opposite of what I've done my whole life. Total opposite, of how I've been my whole life. That's what's crazy about all this. You know what I mean? Because I do feel like God's trying to get me to like it here, for once, like being on the planet, love it here. He's trying to change it. Through John the Baptist and Marvin and many other methods, he's trying to get me to actually like it here, have a good time on the planet, for a change. And I think I'm supposed to like uplift others to want to be here as well. Like the most suicidal people on the planet, I'm going to uplift them to want to be here and love it here. Because I used to, I was like that as well, So help all the worst case scenarios out there, basically, that are suffering. Help them to keep going and love it here. I think that's part of my purpose. Because I noticed something. Uh, uh, God will keep this purpose, keep me alive until the purpose is completed. He will. That's what I've learned. He'll keep me alive. No matter what it takes, he'll keep me alive. That's what I've learned. I can't die. Even if I tried, I can't die. Seems like. So I'm serious. I'm like, shit. He's going to keep me alive until I do this purpose for everybody. But I think that we can do it together, somehow, somehow we can do this together, love it here, love others and stuff, even though we've been harmed most of our lives, turn it around, love everybody, like for real love, you know what I mean? For change, like the way Jesus loved everybody, despite how he was treated. Try to love on that level. Like get closer to that, of how Jesus felt for everybody. He knows that's a big, huge challenge for me to flip it around where I love everything. I love everybody. Love life. That's a huge 180 for me. He knows it. I'm his toughest challenge to change, to someone that actually likes it here. I'm a huge challenge, but he hasn't given up on me. He keeps on trying to help change me. That's what I noticed. But a hopeless case to many others, Jesus still tries to help him. A hopeless case to the masses. Jesus still tries to help me, try to change me. But anyways, I think that's right on the money. That's part of my purpose, is to love. You know what I mean? Love it here. Love others. Love my enemies. Love everybody. Like, for real. Like, my biggest challenge to love it here, despite anything, despite my pains, not, still love it here somehow. But anyway, but if I can pull it off and love it here and be more positive, I feel like I can help others turn it around. You know what I mean? Like, the worst case scenarios out there. Help them see life differently. Help them to love it here as well. The misfits, basically, that don't fit in anywhere. Help them to love it here. You know what I mean? Because I do think Jesus understands people like us that don't fit in anywhere. He understands us. Even if nobody else does, he does. So he can find a way to help us to love it here somehow, if anybody can, But anyways, I just felt like I had to make a video about that. I do think that's part of my purpose, is loving it here. It is. Eventually liking it on the planet, loving it here. I think that's part of my purpose, is to love it here. Eventually, love it, love being on the planet and wanting to be here. That's part of my purpose. Biggest challenge, huge challenge for me. Huge. To love myself and love my neighbor. For real, though, like actual really love, Not just words, but actually feel love, Anyway, I just thought of that, but there might be some truth to that. But I think together we can do this. Maybe. Love it here, Love it on the planet. The ones that have been through hell on earth eventually will love it here, The biggest challenge of all time, to flip it around. All those that have been through hell to eventually love it here fully, With all our hearts, we love it here, Like, no pretending, no acting. We really do love it here, Get to that point, Somehow, only with the help of God can we do this. You know what I mean? Feel love after all that shit we've been through. Feel love fully, Only with God can we do this, in my opinion. So, trust that he knows what he's doing. And something else that hit me, and this might sound crazy to a lot of you guys, even me. Even I don't want to do this, but I think eventually God wants to put me in charge of us survivors, like, watch out for us, or, help us, He's put me in charge, I think. Maybe. As crazy as that sounds. Because I don't think Jesus is going to come on the planet himself and take charge and take care, for a while. So I think he wants me to be in charge to an extent in the absence of Jesus. That's how I feel. Like, I'm supposed to be in charge of, I know it's scary for you and for me to be in charge, But anyways, pretty much hold the fort until Jesus comes. That's what I'm supposed to do, is just hold the fort, I think so. I'm pretty sure, like, he wants me to watch over things, watch over people until Jesus arrives, officially arrives. So he knows I don't want to do this. I've never wanted to do this, but I've accepted that I'm just here for a purpose for God. That's all I'm here for, I'm not here for anything else on this planet. Really, I'm here for God, to help God, with whatever he wants done. I'm supposed to help him develop what he wants to develop. You know what I mean? Somehow, build the kingdom, help build the kingdom he wants on the earth before Jesus comes, like the type of kingdom. Because I feel like, and I think God knows this as well, religion has gone off the mark. And I feel like that's true. Religion has gone off the mark. All religions have. Of what God really wanted, or what Jesus really wanted. Religion's kind of got off the mark. Maybe they've gotten too selfish, too greedy. I don't know, something. But he feels like they've gone off the mark. I feel like that. But some of the Christian churches I go to are all right. I don't see a problem too much with it. But for the most part, I feel like he feels like they've gone off the mark of what Jesus wanted. You know what I mean? Because I do feel this way, and I felt this way for a while. If Jesus was on the planet secretly, and nobody knew it was him, and he tried to be a part of a church, if Jesus himself was trying to be a part of a church, and he was himself, his full self, and I truly feel this, people would hate him. They would, just like in the old days. If Jesus were to show up in a church secretly, you know what I mean? He would eventually be hated. I feel like he would. People would just naturally hate him, like in the old days, in the Pharisee days. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. Like if Jesus himself tried to be a part of any church secretly, people would hate him. You know what I mean? Think about it. That's how I feel. Because I feel like, because he's the ultimate one that knows how he wanted things to be. Jesus is. He's the one that knows. So if he's seeing how religions are doing things that he doesn't like, that's not what he wanted, people can probably sense that. And they'll probably try to reject him out of the religion he's trying to be a part of. You know what I mean? Kind of like how I felt rejected in Mormonism. That's kind of how Jesus would, he'd be rejected as well. Even though his name's on the buildings, he'd still get rejected out of that religion, even though his name's on the building, And that's a crazy statement, but I feel that's true. I feel that's true. He would be looked at a certain way, just like I am, just rejected. You know what I mean? Can't fit in any religion with his name on it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. But anyways, enough about that. Because if Jesus tried to make any religion the way he wanted back in the day, the way he wanted, you know what I mean? They would reject him if he tried to change things to the way he wanted his kingdom to be. He would be thrown out of the religion. I feel like. I could be wrong about that. But that's how I feel. But anyways, I do feel like that's part of my purpose back to this, is for me to eventually love being on the planet. The biggest turnaround change for me of all time is for me to love it here and mean it, fully like it being here. Because God knows that's the biggest challenge for me. No matter how hard I've tried, I still don't want to be here. And God knows it. No matter what I've done, doesn't matter what I've done, I still don't want to be on the planet. It's crazy. So if God can get this to change in me, that I want to be here and mean it, that'd be the biggest change turnaround ever seen. You know what I mean? For me to love it being here and mean it, biggest change turnaround of all time. That's why I say if Jesus can change me, it's his biggest accomplishment. If he can change me, my heart, my soul, if Jesus can change me, that's his biggest, hugest accomplishment. I know I'm the hardest person he's ever tried to heal. Change. Jesus, I am. He knows it. But he's the only one that wants to try to help me and change me, is Jesus, for the better. He's the only one that's been willing to even try. You know what I mean? Everybody else has just given up on me a long time ago. But Jesus, he still hasn't given up hope on me, which is crazy, Everybody else has, but not Jesus. Just like I can get everybody else to give up on me, but not Jesus. You know what I mean? He's the trooper. He's a long haul trooper, Jesus is. No messing around. No matter what I've said about him, he's solid. He's a trooper, He's legit. And so I mean, he can take anything I dish out. Jesus can. He's tougher than I am, so I know he can take anything. He's tougher than me. Anything I can take from people, he can take more. Jesus can. He's tougher than me. Way tougher. You know what I mean? He is. He's the strongest. He's the strongest. That's all I gotta say. He's the strongest. So, anyways. A part of me was thinking today, I'm like, I want to believe that Jesus would fall prey to the traps of this world, the temptations. I want to believe that, Like even he could go bad. Jesus could. I want to believe that, Like I can't handle that someone is that pure and good. You know what I mean? I can't fathom it. You know what I mean? That someone is that good, solid, like Jesus is. You know what I mean? For example, if he was looking at a beautiful woman, he wouldn't lust for her. Basically, Jesus wouldn't. When every man would, even me, would lust for a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? Jesus wouldn't. He's that solid, and I can't handle that. How can someone be that solid? You know what I mean? How can someone be that good? You know what I mean? I can't fathom it, He walked on the planet for all those years. Didn't sin once. You know what I mean? Think about that. He was that pure. He was that good. I can't handle that someone out there is that pure. And it is legit. Like not pretending. You know what I mean? I can't fathom that, because I'm not like that. So I try to make Jesus more like me, but he isn't. You know what I mean? He's nothing like me. He isn't. Way more selfless than I am. Way more selfless. Jesus is. You know what I mean? He would jump in front of a moving car to protect me. He would. He's that kind of person. Jesus is. 100%. So I'm like, I can't fathom that. I want to believe that he even he could be like the people of this world. Even he can. I want to believe that, even he can go bad, maybe, lust for a beautiful woman, basically, but he isn't. I can't fathom that, because I have those weaknesses, I can't fathom someone that doesn't and is pure. I can't fathom that someone exists that is like that is pure. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I can't fathom it. I can't believe that someone is that good, that solid. I can't believe it, but he exists, I'm like, shit. Because there's all these scenarios that I'm like, even Jesus would get tempted and, fall prey. Even he would, but he wouldn't. You know what I mean? I can't fathom that someone wouldn't. You know what I mean? He's that solid. You know what I mean? Any beautiful woman in front of him, he wouldn't fall prey. Jesus wouldn't. He's that solid. I can't fathom that because I'm not like that. I would fall prey, and I admit that. But Jesus knows my weaknesses. Let's just say that I'm still working through. But I feel like he's helping me with. But anyways, enough about that. But I'm not sure why I talked about all that, but I have thought about this today. It's just like, I can't fathom that someone exists out there that never got tempted, never fell prey to sin. You know what I mean? Never fell prey to it. Someone exists out there that's that good. You know what I mean? I can't fathom that. Yeah. I'm like, nah, it's impossible. It's impossible that someone exists out there that was never fall prey to being feeling any lust for a woman. Basically, for example, because Jesus had a body, he had all the things of the body, but despite that, he mastered his body, that he never lusted. You know what I mean? That's impressive to me. It is. I'm like, I can't fathom that someone exists out there that's like that. That's solid. But he exists. He's solid. I'm like, man. So the things I fall prey for, Jesus would not. You know what I mean? He wouldn't. I can't fathom that, I'm like, even he would go bad in these scenarios. Even he would fall prey. Jesus would. Even he would, But he wouldn't. He's that solid. I'm like, damn it. Can't believe it, But anyways, that's all I wanted to say for this video. But I think that's what God eventually wants to happen, is for me to love myself. For real, love myself. Like, and mean it. Love myself. One of the biggest challenges right there. Love myself. Because God knows most of my life I didn't love myself. It's hard for me to love myself and mean it. You know what I mean? It is. So I'm like, I have all these pains and stuff. I'm worthless because of that. Because I have all these wounds. I have all these scars, So I'm worthless. I'm not worth much because of that, I'm a damaged human. So I should just be thrown away in the trash, basically. God knows that's how I see myself. It's just like, I'm not worth much. I was treated like crap, so I'm not worth much. Treated like crap most of my life, so I'm not worth much, Have all these issues, injuries, So I'm not worth much. And God knows I'd still kind of struggle with that, It's easier to just throw myself away than to love myself and try to love it here on the planet. It's easier just to throw myself away. And I admit that, in my mind, it's easier to just throw myself away, but that's not what God wants, He doesn't want me to throw myself away. Yeah. Like others have thrown me away. He doesn't want me to throw myself away. fall into that temptation of throwing myself away, basically. But anyways, I do think that's part of the purpose. My purpose is love, like feel real love for myself, for other people, for all those that harm me in the past. Feel love for all of it, like no bullshit, like the way Jesus loved everybody and his enemies, like that. Try to be like that. God wants me to be like that. Somehow, it's no bullshit. I'm like, God, that's the biggest impossibility challenge of all time. And part of the promise that I always talk about, in order for this promise to happen, I have to feel love. I have to feel love. That's why I feel it's impossible. I have to feel love fully for myself and other people as well, fully. For this promise that God promised for me to happen, I have to feel love for real. I have to. That's why I feel like it's impossible. I have to feel full love for real. You know what I mean? Like real love. I have to feel it for this promise to happen. He knows it. That's why I feel like it's impossible. Like me feel love fully for myself and for others. You know what I mean? In order for the promise to achieve success, love has to happen. Real love has to happen for me, for this promise to take place. And God knows it. That's why I always thought it was impossible, because it has to do with love, real love, and me feeling real love. That's what it has to do with. God literally is trying to change someone that has felt no love most of his life. He's never been loved most of his life. He doesn't know what love is. God's trying to change someone like that, like me, to feel love for real. That's never felt love most of his life. That's why I feel it's impossible. Like, it can't be done. Can't be done. But God's still trying. Yeah. So I do feel like the person that commented, I don't know who you are. I don't know. I don't know who most of my people are. I've never met most of the people that comment. So, but I feel like you're right about that. It has to do with love. Like me loving being on the planet and meaning it. Loving other people, loving myself and meaning it. It's like the biggest challenge of all time for me to achieve, and only with God can I do this. I'm not sure if that's the full purpose, but I do feel like that's part of it, is to feel love, to be here, love for myself, love for others, and meaning it. You know what I mean? And not get jealous of others or envious of others ever. You know what I mean? Be solid as Jesus. Try to be. You know what I mean? Because I know Jesus is solid in all areas. Jesus would never get jealous of somebody. For example, he would never get envious of somebody. For example, Jesus would never do that. So I have to become more like that. You know what I mean? Which is tough. Because I compare myself to others and like envy. I'm like, oh man, they have things that I've always wanted, that I don't have, So I have to try to not get that envious thing going, and want what other people have, basically, And trust that things will come my way eventually if I try to be more like Jesus, like for real, in all areas. Things will come my way. Good things will come my way if I'm more like Jesus in all areas. Like never lusting for a woman, never being envious of someone else and their possessions. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like really be like Jesus. You know what I mean? Like for real. Try to be like that. And good things will come my way if I try to be like Jesus in real life, As hard as that is, as hard as that sounds, which it is hard. No one can be like Jesus fully. No one can. No one can. No one can be that good. You know what I mean? No one can. We can only try. Try our best, basically. So, but anyways, enough about that. I haven't really done much for today. do feel like that's part of my purpose is love. Feel love for myself, for others, for my enemies, for everybody. Love is part of it. To feel it and mean it. Something I've never felt most of my life is love. So I think that is part of it, is for me to feel love. For myself, for others, and mean it, and have it be real. But anyways, I think that's all I'll say for this video, but I do think that's part of my purpose, for real, is to love it here on the planet. To love it being here. Love myself, love others. You know what I mean? And mean it. You know what I mean? Because God knows that's the biggest challenge of all time. For me, biggest challenge of all time. Feel love. Feel love to be here. Feel love for others. Feel love for myself. Feel love for my enemies that have harmed me. It's the biggest challenge of all time. For me. For sure. Anyway. I think that's all I'll say for this video, but I do think that there's some truth to that. For sure. I'm supposed to achieve something that I've never achieved in this life, is love. Feeling love for myself, for everybody else. Love for being on the planet. You know what I mean? That's something I've never fully achieved, for real. And God knows that. And meaning it, like loving it here, you know. Instead of just joking around. Making a joke out of life, you know. Making a joke out of my life, basically. But anyways, I think that's all I'll say for this video.